a bit. Okay. Hi, everyone. Hello. How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome to a new live event with CareerFoundry. We are going to give it a moment so more people can join and get ready. Meanwhile, I'll introduce myself. I'm Belinda, Junior Event Manager here at CareerFoundry, hosting this event from Berlin, sunny Berlin, finally. And on this occasion, I'm joined by Elizabeth Decker. Hi, Elizabeth. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us today, and welcome. We are very happy to have you and to tell your story of your career change. So, Elizabeth is a CareerFoundry data analytics graduate who is currently working as senior data analyst at Experian, a multinational data analytics company. And she's also a CareerFoundry tutor. So if you are considering a career change with us, she might help you with your tasks. And that's not all about Elizabeth. She holds a very special place in CareerFoundry history because she's our first student on the data analytics program to land a job in the field. And she managed to do that in less than 6 months. And this is an amazing story, but I won't tell you any more about it because Elizabeth will be the one telling everything throughout the interview. So as always, we love to make this event as interactive as possible. So please feel free to share where you are watching from and also add any comments you would like to share with us in the chat on the right-hand side, maybe why you are interested in a career change into data analytics, for example. So before we start the interview, I'll introduce you to CareerFoundry very briefly. CareerFoundry is the online school for your career and change into tech. We guide you from complete beginner to job-ready tech professional in data analytics and help you land your first job in the field. We are not any old school. Our programs are so flexible that you don't need to quit your day job to change your career. You get regular one-on-one mentorship from not one but two industry experts. And if you don't land a job within 180 days of graduation, we refund your tuition. And that's our job guarantee. Please let me also tell you a few of our house rules. This webinar will be recorded and we will send the recording out tomorrow via email. And if you have any question about CareerFoundry's programs, I suggest you book a call with one of our program advisors. They will be very happy to speak with you. And you can do that by clicking on the sticky note in the chat on Big Marker. And with that said, let's start the interview. Are you ready, Elizabeth?
Yes.
Great. So first, to start, the very first question is, could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Elizabeth Decker. I live in Tennessee in the United States, and I have a bachelor's degree in mathematics. A little bit after graduation, I'd been applying to jobs, and I just wasn't getting any callbacks or interviews because I didn't have any experience. So that's when I found CareerFoundry, and it really helps my career a lot.
Great, thanks. Thanks for this introduction. So let's organize this in time a little bit and let's go back not so long ago. I reckon around 2020. That's right, Elizabeth?
Mm-hmm.
When you were thinking about a career change?
Yes.
Good. So my question is, what were you doing? You already mentioned a little bit before, but what were you doing before deciding to make a career change into data analytics?
I had been a barista for probably about 6 years. So I was in a very different field before doing data analytics.
Okay, then barista. How many years were you working as a barista?
It had been about 6 years.
6 years. That's a long. So yeah, okay. Let's make like a summary about your position before making the career change. So you have a background in math, and this also show your passion for numbers and data, but you have been also working as a barista, as we just mentioned. So you have done these two things at the same time, working and studying. And to be honest, that's very impressive and also challenging, because it requires a lot of effort and dedication, and you did it. So I already congratulated you, but I would like to congratulate you again, sorry, for your
Thank
hard
you.
work and for achieving your goals. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we will dive into these topics later, so you can tell us a little bit more about it. But first, I would like to know the reason why you took this path and choose to study data analytics. So my question is, when did you first hear about data analytics, and why did it pique your interest?
Yeah, so when I studied mathematics, I initially thought I wanted to be a math teacher. And then once I graduated, I kind of decided against it, and I didn't really know any other fields that used math. So I was just searching the internet, finding career paths that used math, and I came across data analytics, and it really struck me because I've always had like a creative side and also like the math and analytical side, and I felt like data analytics was the perfect combination of the two very different sides that I was able to have my two different interests be into one.
That's great. Also, it's nice to see that you wanted to become like a math teacher, but you didn't live like your um, goal of education, and you are actually like a tutor in CareerFoundry.
Yeah.
So that's good. Um, okay, good. Thank you for answering this question. And let's continue with the beginning. As we might know, there are different ways to get into data analytics. One of them is taking a boot camp, which is the path actually that you took, Elizabeth. So then could you please tell us what helped you to make the decision of taking a data analytics course? And why did you pick Career Foundry among many other different options?
Yeah, so I did initially try to start kind of learning the elements of data analytics by myself, and it was just very overwhelming because there's so many things to learn and you don't know where to start if you're trying to learn it by yourself. So that's what made me choose to take a data analytics course. And then in my research of all the different companies that are offering courses, CareerFoundry was actually the only one that had the job guarantee that I qualified for. All the other companies, you had to have worked like in an office setting for 2 years. So being a barista, that didn't really apply to me. So I was really interested in the job guarantee because, you are going to get a job where you get your money back. So
That's good. Great. Thanks. Also, you mentioned that you could take like a path and be self-taught, but the good things of taking a course is that you have already a structure, and also you have people behind who support you. In our case, you have a mentor and a tutor, and I
mhm.
guess this is also very helpful and was helpful for you, right, Elizabeth?
Yes, definitely. Um, my mentor was really helpful every time we had our phone calls. She always gave me a lot of information about the industry, and she had been a data analyst for probably, I think, like 30 years. So she had a lot of knowledge to give me.
That's great. We will speak about more about your relationship with your tutor and mentor later. But thank you for your answer. So this is more or less the question regarding the beginning of the journey, and we are going to speak about your experience of studying at Career Foundry. So my first question regarding this is, how was your experience in general with the data analytics course?
I had a really great experience. I love that it was self paced. So, if you needed extra time here or there, you could take it. But I thought it had really great information and it has definitely helped me.
That's good. Okay, regarding this, the self-paced, this is an option that we is super good from Career Foundry programs. You needed that in order to continue your job as a barista, right?
Yes. And I also had a 2-year-old at the time, so the self-paced definitely helped me.
That's good. Okay, so let's go to the next question. As in every experience, we know that we could have ups and downs. So I would like to ask you, from your perspective, what were the highlights on the other side, the biggest challenges, meanwhile you were studying at CareerFoundry?
I feel like the challenges are just maintaining a consistent schedule to be able to do all the course in the allotted time. Just, being busy and having a job, just being able to set time to focus on the course. But the highlights, I really liked being able to like finish one of the achievements and like being able to see your work and like when you publish it online. I really like that.
Yeah, it's very rewarding after a big effort, like to see your result and your fruits there. Um, and thank you so much for sharing this. I know we already said that it's super challenging to be studying and working at the same time. And I will ask you before about this, how you manage actually to do it. Um, so now the next question is about your relationship with your mentor and a tutor. So could you explain a little bit about this relationship?
Yeah. So when I would do a lesson, I would do a task at the end of that and I would submit it to my tutor. And my tutor would review it and give me any feedback, let me know if there are any corrections that I needed to make. And he was really helpful with, just my like day to day tasks. And then when I would finish a section, I would have a phone call with my mentor and she would go over like my final results and give me any feedback. And she also gave me wisdom about the field.
Good. And how often did you meet with them, with your tutor? Because the tutor is the one who helped you more with your task that you are submitting throughout the course,
Mm-hmm.
and your mentor help you more with the portfolio and regarding industry advice, right?
Yes. So for the tutor, I really only talked to him like through messaging anytime I had a question. But he would just review my assignments when I submitted them. So I would hear back from him maybe like twice a week. And then I would have a phone call with my mentor probably about once a month.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Yeah, let me tell you a little bit more with the data analytics program. All of our programs, you have unlimited messaging with your tutor and up to 100 video calls with your mentor, and they help you throughout the program. So yeah, this is a little bit about the dual mentorship model about CareerFoundry. Um, and now I would like to cover a very interesting topic that we mentioned before, working and studying at the same time, which was your case, Elizabeth. So in terms of timing, there are two options. You could complete the program full time in 4 months, more or less, or a second option is part time, where you can finish the program in 8 months. So in your case, Elizabeth, could you tell us the option you picked, and how did you manage actually to study and work at the same time?
Yeah, I did the part time option and I just kind of made a pact with myself to sit down like at least 2 hours every day and work on the course.
That's good. But did you have like a plan? Did you also manage like to have some breaks as well? Like, because it's super good that you study and work, but we also have to try to have a work life balance in order to be more productive. So did you find a space and time like to have breaks and to do more stuff, or?
Yeah, I just kind of did it as needed. I didn't have anything like scheduled, but like if I had a big event or if it was a holiday, I would take the week off, and then just resume back and make sure I was just still on track to graduate in time.
And how did you feel it yourself? Like, did you manage well, or did you struggle a little bit?
I think in the beginning I struggled a little bit, but it was just kind of, learning as you go, like how much time you need to work on each task and how much time you need off to recover.
It's amazing. It's good. You get used to it. Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay. Okay, let's go to the next question. So let's change the topic again, and let's speak about portfolio, because one of the outcome of CareerFoundry program is a portfolio, and it's also very important to have a portfolio in order to look for a job. So Elizabeth, could you tell us how was your experience of building up a portfolio?
Yeah, it was a good experience. I kind of built it piece by piece as I went throughout the course. At the end of each section, you kind of have a big project. And so at the end, you compile all those big projects into the portfolio.
Mm-hmm. And who helped you? Did you have any help, any support for that, for the portfolio?
It was like one of our like tasks that we did. So I could ask my tutor or mentor for help if I had any questions, but I submitted it and then my tutor would let me know if it needed revising or if it was good.
Great. Um, and do you remember how many projects you had there?
I want to say 6.
6.
Mm-hmm.
And what is your recommendation? Would you recommend like to have more, or to have less, like with more quality, or what is your advice?
I feel like 4 to 6 quality projects is good.
Good. Thanks. Um, okay. Let's go to the next question. Let's speak now about your first role as data analyst. You managed to do that in less than 6 months. This is super amazing. So I would like to hear from you actually. Could you tell us a little bit more about how you did it and how you found the job, your first role as data analyst?
Yeah, so my first role, it was when I was still doing the program. I was just looking for data analyst jobs that were near me, and I found one. I think it was probably on LinkedIn. And so I applied, and they called me and asked me a little bit about my experience. And I told them that I was taking the CareerFoundry data analyst program. And they, I guess, liked the skills that I was learning. And I had 2 phone call interviews with them, and then they hired me.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's good. And how did you feel about when you finally got that job, your first
I,
role as data
yeah, I
analyst?
was
That you
really
were
excited.
sorry.
I was really excited to get the role, especially because I was getting a job in the field that I was wanting to work in, and I was not even graduated from the program yet.
It's amazing. So good. Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay. Let me here tell you that also at CareerFoundry programs, you are able to do a job preparation course in which a career specialist helped you throughout the job search, and this is very helpful. So you have the option to do that. In your case, Elizabeth, you didn't do it, right? Because you found a job before.
I did take advantage of the job preparation course just because it had advice on like how to format your resume and like interview questions. So I did kind of worked through it a little bit, but yeah, I didn't need to complete it all the way since I already had a job.
Okay, great. Thank you. I thought you didn't stand the chance to do it. So this is amazing. Yeah, of course, you get a lot of benefits. And then I would like to ask you, when were you able to do it actually? Like, when can you start the job preparation course?
I think it's when you are maybe like a month before you graduate, you can go ahead and start it. And then you
Mhm.
have access to it, I think, for the whole 6 months after you graduate.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, let's now speak about, you already mentioned it, but let's speak about job interviews. So I would like to ask you, how was the interview process for your first position as junior data analyst? Could you tell us a little bit about the requirements they were looking for the role?
For my first position, it was just the 2 phone calls, and they were just looking for someone who um, kind of was like interested in data that maybe didn't have too much experience, but that kind of knew their way around Excel.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it for the most part, I think.
Okay, and actually, what was that first role as data analyst?
What do you mean?
What was the position? Where was it? Sorry, like in a company or?
I was actually a contractor on a military base.
Okay, in a military base. Okay,
Hmm.
that's interesting. Um, Okay, then I would like to ask you if you could, if you have any tips to give to those who are looking for their first role as data analyst, for example, place to research or what kind of job to apply. Like, what tips do you have for someone who is looking for their first role as data analyst?
I found LinkedIn to be very helpful in finding roles.
Mm-hmm.
I also just want to say don't give up because sometimes it can take a lot of applying to jobs before you get any interviews or get a job. So it can be pretty discouraging when you're applying and you keep getting the no emails, but you just have to be persistent to find the right job for you.
Yeah, good. That's definitely a huge, really nice advice. Were you applying? Did it take long for you, like to apply, or how many?
I think when I like both times when I was looking for a new job, it took me probably about 3 months
Mhm.
of like consistently looking and applying to find one that was the right fit for me.
Then you started like to apply almost just starting the program, right?
Um, yeah, maybe, I guess. I was always just kind of looking to see what was out there.
Yeah, good, good. That's good. Okay. So I would like to move now to the present, actually, and I would like to ask you, could you tell us a little bit about your current job as senior data analyst?
Yeah, so I mainly do a lot of reporting and I also create dashboards and Tableau for both internal for my company and for our clients to send out to them.
Hmm. Good. And how do a day in your job look like currently?
So in the morning, I do about an hour of creating and sending out reports. And then I'll have like a 1 hour meeting with my team.
Hmm.
And then for the majority of the rest of the day, I will be working on building new dashboards, usually in Tableau. And then I'll have like another hour at the end of the day of doing different reports and sending them out to our clients.
Yeah, sounds nice. I guess it's totally different from the junior position, but we can speak about it later. Okay. Thank you for answering this, Elizabeth. Um, I would like to ask you actually about tools, and you just mentioned that you use Tableau. But
Mhm.
could you tell us what you were actually the main tool that you were using for your junior position, and maybe we could compare with the one that you use, if there is any difference between them.
Yeah, the tools are pretty different, but it's also because the types of data that I worked with in my first position versus now are pretty different. In my first position, I feel like you use Excel basically in any job, but I used Excel and then also a program called Qualtrics. And
Mhm.
it's like, it was like a survey platform, and I would like analyze people's survey answers. So I did like textual analysis. And in
Yeah.
my position now, I do a lot of Tableau where I'm creating out dashboards of like performance and revenue and stuff like that. So I work with more numbers now, whereas my previous role, I worked with textual answers.
Okay. And did you stand a chance to learn those tools during the program, or?
I learned Tableau in the program,
Mm-hmm.
um, but the other elements that I learned in the program, like about like database, I don't use those specific tools, but like the ideas and like processes behind those tools I use in my current position.
Wow, that's good. Okay. Thank you. Let's go now, and let's keep going with a few of the questions. Do you feel that the program helped you upskill as you had hoped?
Definitely. You know, being a barista, and then I was able to get a junior data analyst and now a senior data analyst role. And as far as salary goes, every time I got a new role, I doubled my salary. So I have a lot higher salary now than I did when I was a barista when I started the course.
It's amazing. That's good. You also passed from junior position straight to senior, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's good. And do you feel like the difference is huge between junior and senior
Um,
in terms of?
yeah, there's a lot. I do like a lot more work. I have a lot more responsibility. Um, but I'm also remote now, whereas in my junior role, I was in the office. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do like it better having more work to do.
Okay, good. And you are comfortable with the remote work as well, right? It's a
Yeah,
huge difference for
yeah.
from being. Okay, good. Thank you. I would like to ask you now about what do you like from being data analytics. So my question is, what would you say that is the most rewarding thing about working in data analytics?
Um, I've always been like a problem solver, and like I love doing puzzles, and I feel like with this work, that's a lot of what I'm doing is like I'll be presented with a problem, and then I'll be able to like look through the numbers and analyze the data and kind of solve the problem. So I really like that aspect of the job.
Mhm. Through our first meeting, you also mentioned that something that you like a lot is visualizations, right? Like in
Mm-hmm.
data analytics, you analyze a lot of data, but you also get creative in order to present your reports, let's say your datas, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yes, I really like being able to incorporate like my creative side and creating the dashboards and having the freedom to kind of put my
Mhm.
personal touch on it.
Good. Could you recommend us any tool like to do? What is your preference? What's your favorite tool to present results?
I usually use Tableau.
Mm-hmm.
That one's my favorite.
Yeah, good. Good. Thank you. So the next question I would like to ask you is, what are you the most proud of your career so far?
I'm just really proud of how far I've come in the short amount of time. Like you've mentioned, how I went from junior to senior relatively quickly, and just going from barista to a senior role within, I think it was like 3 years. That was really significant.
Definitely. It's a huge way, Elizabeth, and also hard work. It's not easy to do. It's persistent, dedication, and effort to reach there. So really good,
Mhm.
Elizabeth, for you. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Um, Also, we speak about a lot about transferable skills because we take you from scratch, let's say, but you are not never from scratch, because there are transferable skills that you carry with you from your previous job, even from your studies. So I would like to ask you, what transferable skills did you bring from your previous job as a barista in this case?
I felt like two of the big ones were kind of having like leadership and being able to take on problems by myself and being comfortable enough to like take charge. And then the second one would be being able to handle multiple projects at once. Being a barista, there's always like 50 things going on that you have to keep track of in your head. And so in my current role, I'll have like 3 or 4 projects going on at once. And so I'll need to keep in mind which one's coming up that I need to have done, and what other ones I have to have ready for meetings and stuff like that.
Definitely. Also communication, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
with different colleagues, and so with the client as well is important
Yes.
to bring a lot of that. Okay. Thank you. I would like to ask you now, what part of your data analytics education do you currently apply to your actual job? I think you mentioned something before, but could you like extend the answer a little bit further?
Yeah, I use Excel and Tableau every day, and I also use Salesforce now, which we didn't learn Salesforce in the course, but just learning about like databases and querying and stuff like that, I can apply it to Salesforce that I use now.
Mm-hmm. That's good. It's great that you can learn something and still apply to
Mm-hmm.
your current job,
Yeah.
also being as a senior. It's really good. I'm sorry, I'm gonna drink some water. Thank you. So we have been speaking about that you come from a math background, but I would like to hear your opinion about this. Do you think that the program is accessible for someone who doesn't come from a mathematical background?
I definitely think it is. And especially being a tutor now, I see people from so many different backgrounds um, be able to take it and excel in the course. So it's definitely accessible for people who don't have a math background.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Thank you. Regarding your mathematical background, did you have like a huge help for your data analytics program?
I actually feel like there were only a few times that I actually used my math background.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's more just being like curious and being able to look through the data and having the drive to dig through the numbers and solve the problem. That's more important than actually having like a math background.
Yes, good. Makes sense. Thank you. I guess you touch statistics. Sorry about my English. Um, in the data analytics program that you also study in your math background?
Yes, there's maybe like 2 or 3 lessons on the statistics. And so I'd say that's mostly where I used my math background, that I was able to, go through those sections with no problems. But I know those can be some of the more challenging sections because most people don't have the, math and statistics background. So that would be their probably first time learning it.
But it's definitely achievable.
Yes, definitely.
For the people. Good. Thank you. We still have some time before we pass over the question from the audience. So I really would like to encourage you, if you have any question for Elizabeth, please post them in the chat on the right-hand side. And I would like to ask you, I would like to go to, let's say, trendy topics right now. So I have a few questions that I would like you to answer. Feel free to explain yourself and to give your opinion. It's about AI.
Okay.
Okay. So how do you think AI is going to impact in the data analytics field, and how do you see its progress?
I definitely feel like it can, improve the data analytics field because, as we've seen, the AI can create visualizations. But I've actually had people ask me, like, don't you think AI is going to take over your job? But I think that the importance of why it's not going to is because AI needs humans to actually tell it what to do. And that's basically what a data analyst does, is it just tells the computer what to do. So I don't really feel like AI will be taking over data analytics.
Yeah, thank you. I also agree with you. I think we shouldn't fear to enjoy the benefits of AI, and
Mhm.
actually as some jobs could be taken away, all the jobs will be created for that. So
Yes.
it's always maintaining um, the system, let's say. Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. I also would like to ask you, before we go to the audience questions, have you actually used ChatGPT as your little helper, or still you didn't take that adventure?
I've actually never used it before.
And would you like to try, to explore a little bit? Maybe
Yeah,
to.
I'd probably try. Um, you can ask it questions about anything. So maybe if I'm having a issue with one of my visualizations or something I can't figure out, I would probably pull it up and see if I could figure out an answer through there.
Good. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for answering all of these questions. Actually, I have a question I would like to ask you before we go to the audience question. And it's about advice, because I think to hear advice from someone like you, like a true career changer who's success in their career, is also very helpful. So my last question is, what advice would you give to someone who is considering a career change into data analytics?
I'd tell them to, be persistent and just kind of like, if they don't have any experience, like, you're going to have to learn a lot of new tools no matter what, because, if you're not in the data analytics field, you're not going to know the tools. So just be persistent with learning the information and new tools, and also adding people on LinkedIn who maybe have the job that you want to have, and you can see like their education and their work background, and even message them and ask them questions. I think that helps a lot.
That's a huge advice, Elizabeth. Definitely, I agree. Networking is one of the best help, and actually being able to speak and hear the experience of others in the field, other data analytics analysts, sorry, is so good, and they have a lot of insights to give you. So thank you so much for this advice. Um, Actually, this is the interview from my side. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for answering all of these questions. And now we are going to see the question from the audience. We have a nice crowd today. So let's start with um, let's start with let me double check because I think many of them we covered them. So one question coming from LinkedIn is, how much support did you get um, when it comes to balancing working on your soft skill as well as hard skills when educating for the role? This is a question from Basil, I think. I'm sorry if I mispronounce anyone brain names wrongly. It's not intentionally.
I think the course definitely teaches you both the hard and soft skills. But like I mentioned before, my phone calls with my mentor were really helpful to find out, what skills and tools she uses and just her history and advice about getting into the field.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I hope this answer your question, Basil. Okay, let's. We have mentioned this before, but Miki B is asking if there is a degree required, I guess, to study the data analytics program.
No, there's not. So, since I'm a tutor, I do see people who have college degrees in like very different fields, and I see people who don't have college degrees at all. And both, people succeed very well in the program.
Yeah, as we already mentioned, in your case, in Elizabeth's case, is math, but you can study data analytics from many different backgrounds. What are the most common backgrounds that you see, like psychologists, maybe in your
I've seen
student?
people, that have psychology degrees. Um, there are maybe a couple people who have like statistics degrees or like some more math or science degrees, but it's really can be a broad range depending on the field you're working in.
It's very varied, right?
Yeah.
Good. So now I would like to ask you, actually, we mentioned before this, like you are working remotely. In your junior position, you were not working remotely, you were working at the office. And someone is asking if you are working remotely. So we already mentioned you are working remotely, but I would like to ask you, how is your experience working remotely? How do you feel about it? The benefit that you get as being a remote worker?
I really like it. I feel like you have a lot more freedom and obviously the benefit of not having a commute. But the job that I have right now, we do have an in-office day once a month. So I do still get to go in and see all my coworkers and catch up with them. So it's a nice balance.
Definitely such a nice balance. um okay, thank you for answering this question. Let's go now for a question from Kim, and this is a very nice topic and very interesting, about career changing when you are older than 40 years. So what suggestion would you offer to someone who is considering a mid-career change to data analytics?
I'd definitely say go for it. It's, not really your age or your background. It's just being interested in the data analytics field and being able to learn the tools and apply them. So I think as long as you're determined, you'll be able to do it.
Great. Thank you. Kim, I hope this helps you. Actually, like, you would recommend to do this career change if you really want to get a job into data analytics. You would say that at any age you could do this career change.
Yes, you can definitely do the CareerFoundry program at any age.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, let's go and try to get over more questions. Then a question from Bonnie from LinkedIn. She's asking, back when you were barista, what brought the data analysis field to your attention?
It was really just me searching different fields that use math from the internet and just coming across it. And like I said, being able to use my math and analytical side as well as my creative side, I felt like that was something that I hadn't seen like in a math role before, being able to be creative.
Also because you studied math, I guess you were when actually started your passion for numbers and math? Was it at
I've
school?
just always loved math, like as long as I can remember.
Okay, that's good. I guess this is what connect to data analytics. Okay, good. Thank you. Now the next question from Ravi is, how many hours should you devote to study as a working professional?
I'd probably say I did about 10 hours a week of studying and working on the program.
How many? How much time did you take, more or less, on average, every day to when you
I
were
would do like Monday through Friday, like 2 hours a day.
2 hours a day?
Yeah.
That's good. A good thing. Meanwhile, you were working as well, right? That's good. This is not. It's nice. Okay. Let's go now. Let's see. We have. Okay. Let's go and let's go to see more questions. There is a question from Evans asking about salaries. You don't have to speak about your salaries, but I think maybe it could be a nice thing to mention, as there are also a lot of information out there. So what is the average of salary of a data analyst? I guess these also depend on the zone where you are going to be working.
For like an entry role, I would say probably around $50,000 would be an entry level salary. But once you climb up the ladder, it can get anywhere from, $80,000 to $120,000 a year.
That's a pretty nice salary, I would say. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Okay. I'm going to be mindful with the time, but I would like to take a couple of more questions. I need to do a little bit of research in the chat. Give me 1 second, please. I would like to ask you, we already spoke about portfolios. So this is a question from William. what is your opinion about the importance of a portfolio when you are looking for a job, when you want to land a job in the field?
So for me, I got my first job when I was still in the course, so I didn't have a portfolio. But getting my senior role, I submitted my portfolio with my resume. And I mean, I got an interview. We didn't talk too much about my portfolio in the interview, but I did do like a like live kind of like task assessment, skills assessment interview. So it definitely helped me like move my application forward, that they were able to see, the kind of work that I've done in the past.
Okay, so it was important like to apply. You didn't use it so much throughout the interview, but it was important to apply and to be selected.
Yes.
Good. I don't know if I would like to ask you about the senior process of the interview.
Hmm.
How was actually this interview process? Because I guess it was quite different from the junior position to the senior position. Could you tell us how was the senior um, the interview process? Sorry, for the senior position.
Yeah. So I had 2 phone calls with a recruiter, and then I had 1 phone call with the person who's now my manager. And she just kind of talked to me more about the role, and she set me up with a skills assessment. So she sent me just like an Excel spreadsheet of raw data and was kind of like, do what you want with it, and then we'll meet back up and you can show me what you did. And so I, made some visualizations and stuff with it, and I showed it to her, and she was really impressed. And so,
Great. Then you had to do like kind of tech test to pass.
yes, yes, they
To,
definitely want to make sure that you actually have the skills that you say you have on your resume.
yeah, makes sense. Okay, thank you for answering this. We have a question from Brian, and he's asking what kind of companies hire data analysts. I guess you have a better input on that.
It's really a very wide range that you don't even really know until you're in the field. But more and more companies are using data analytics these days. So, like I said, my first job was on a military base. You can do it in the education field. Right now that I work in, it's in the automotive industry. So I work with like data about cars. I know a lot of people do sports data analytics. It's really any field you can think of, they probably use data analytics. So that's why, you know, you don't really need a specific background because you can pretty much find any field that uses data analytics.
Yeah, I guess it's a high on demand um, like this kind of job as data analyst is kind of high demand right now
Yeah,
in
it's
the
definitely growing a lot right now.
current industry. Thank you,
Mhm.
Elizabeth. Um, so another question that we have is regarding to this: is now really a good time to become a data analyst?
I'd say definitely because I mean, it's growing. So there's like more and more jobs posted every day. So there's a really big high demand, and it has a really good salary. So if you're interested in this, I mean, obviously I wouldn't choose any other field to work in, but it's definitely high demand right now.
Good. Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, let's take a couple of more questions. There is someone asking about blogs and resources. So, could you recommend any blogs or resources that you use to keep up with the industry?
Um, for keeping up with the industry, I don't know. I mainly just kind of browse the news. I know, like, kind of learning more about data analytics in general. There's like Alex the analyst does a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we have actually had a few interesting webinar with him. So actually, I would recommend you to check out those. Speaking about ChatGPT and more. Thank you, Elizabeth, for this answer. I would like to ask you, Ravi is asking, how is your schedule now compared to your old job? Like the one from senior, I guess, from the junior position.
My schedule now is definitely more demanding, but it's definitely manageable. In my junior role, I had a lot of free time where I was kind of like looking for stuff to do. But now I definitely have more tasks
to do. So it's kind of busier, let's say,
Yeah.
and you have more time maybe to learn, to see, to read, to explore. And now it's kind of more responsibilities,
Yes.
let's say. Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna go over to the last question of the evening of the interview, which is for you. How do you see yourself in 5 years?
I feel like it's hard to know, but I mean, I would like to keep like stay in the data analytics field.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even keep teaching, since that's something that, I had wanted to do for a long time. But maybe just keep climbing up the data analytics ladder and maybe being a manager one day.
Definitely, it's a nice path, and you have achieved a lot in a little amount of time. So I'm sure the future holds a lot for you.
Thank you.
So, Elizabeth, thank you so much for answering all of our question and the question from the audience. I hope we answer most of them. Before we end the webinar, let me tell you that we are currently offering a career change into data analytics. We are offering a career change scholarship for the first 50 career changers, worth up to $1,125 and euros of the full price of our data analytics program. So if you would like to receive more information about, I recommend booking a call with one of our program advisors by simply clicking on the sticky notes at the top of the chat. Before I end this webinar, please let me remind you that we have a fantastic blog at CareerFoundry run by our team of editors with plenty of great articles about data analytics. Please also check out the CareerFoundry YouTube channel, which has a lot of great video content. And finally, please visit our events page because we have a lot of more upcoming events, just like this one. And related to today's topics with about data analytics, we host different skill workshops with Dr. Humera, and they are focused on learning about Tableau, about SQL, and also an introduction to data analytics. And they are super insightful, so please check them out. Once again, Elizabeth, thank you so much. Do you have any final words?
I would just say to anyone who's interested in data analytics, definitely do like an introductory phone call with CareerFoundry and maybe look at the blog or watch some videos about it. But CareerFoundry has been really huge in making a change in my career journey. So I would definitely recommend taking the program.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for these nice words. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, it's been a real pleasure to have you with us today. We also hope that you all have enjoyed it so much, and hopefully you got inspired by Elizabeth's story. Thank you so much all for attending this webinar, and we see us in the next one. Have a great day.